Professionals Association. The Barbados IT Professionals Association is very pleased to welcome each and every one of you who took the time out this evening to join us in this cryptocurrency conversation and successive learning session. We have our featured presenter and facilitator, Mr. Hallam Hope, in the midst here with us this evening. And Mr. Hope is known for his endeavors in cryptocurrencies and, dare I say, his expertise in that area as it relates to cryptocurrencies. So I know that persons would have been hearing about cryptocurrencies and the reality of trading, as it were, or interacting, seeking to pay for services or otherwise via the use of cryptocurrencies. I am not holding a physical piece of legal tender. I am not holding a jewel, but yet I am being told that I can exchange something of value for cryptocurrency, something via the internet. And this is a concept that persons might need to wrap their understanding around to actually go further with the intention of actually interacting with the technology. Mr. Hallam Hope, in that sense, will be able to take us further and give us a better understanding of dealing with cryptocurrencies. So the Barbados IT Professionals Association, as its main forte, being to sensitize and train the general public as it relates to IT technologies and so on, saw it prudent then to embark upon this training sensitization exercise. And Mr. Hallam Hope, your presenter for the evening and throughout the month of February, will be sharing and having the conversation with you. He would have started the conversation with one of the participants here already. And from that perspective, at the end of the the month of February, we are hoping that persons would have a better understanding and feel more comfortable to interact with the technology. We know that in different parts of the world, persons are actually being paid using the technology as well. And so if that is where other parts of the world are, we need then to get an understanding and see how we too can be a part of that development as it relates to cryptocurrencies. I will hand over to Mr. Hope, who will initially give you communication and various pieces of information on cryptocurrencies, and then we'll go into question and answer. So, Mr. Hope.
Okay, so good evening, President Margaret, and thank you for inviting me. It's a privilege to be here. I trust you're hearing me well. I want to commend the Barbados ICT Professionals Association for organizing what I thought was an absolutely splendid and very informative session, panel discussion on the metaverse. And I do recommend that everybody who is attending today's session listen to it in its entirety, because there's a lot of good information in there. And I thought it was that Jeremy, Stephen Williams, and the younger Darrell, as I may call him.
Chris Darrell.
Chris Darrell, the younger Darrell.
He was speaking to us from Jamaica.
Right. I thought they did a very fantastic job of providing information and also being frank. And, you know, I think we need to be very, very frank with ourselves, even if we do not necessarily agree with everything that everybody says, right? So this evening, I don't want to talk only about cryptocurrencies, because cryptocurrencies are technology, but cryptocurrencies are related to blockchain. You know, they're like two areas that mesh to come together at various times, and therefore one needs to have a holistic discussion that engages both cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be having a session with an academy with a German professor, Professor Frank, and she set up an academy and they'll be doing a full program for young females from 4 or maybe 5 African countries. They come from very low income environments. And one of the points that I want to start off with them, and I'd like to start off this evening, is that, you know, let's forget, or let's not think of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and blockchain as hardware or software. You know, let's forget about the CPUs and the internet and the hard drives and all those and the cell phones and all those stuff, which are very, very integral to it. Yeah. But let's think about cryptocurrencies and blockchain in perhaps a different way in terms of the issues that we're facing in today's world. And you know what these issues are. They're issues of jobs. They're issues of inflation. Higher prices are going up. Cost of living is going up, you know. There are issues of debt. Yeah, and we have to find ways of what I call beating inflation and therefore addressing the whole issue of inflation, cost of living, and our livelihoods as individuals and families. So for me, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are about you and I, the individual, and those pressing issues that we are faced with over the last 2 years, post-COVID, and even before COVID. Yeah. So a little bit of history, a little bit of background information. It's not going to be history talk this evening, but I want to go back to 2007 and 2008. Then we look at 2008 and 2009 very quickly. What happened in 2007, 2008? Would anybody recall what happened between 2007 and 2008? You want to come on board and say what happened? Simone, what happened in 2007, 2008?
I think there was a market crash in specifically 2008.
Correct. Yes. Right. So in 2007, 2008, we had the big housing bubble. And what happened is that the banks and financial institutions encourage people, you know, don't worry about whether you've got assets or supporting finance and that sort of thing. You know, the housing market is going really well. Just come and we're going to give you loans, and you know, they don't have to be backed by a whole lot. You know, so it was a crazy time. In which, you know, everybody was encouraged to buy homes and get new homes and invest in these homes and that sort of thing. And they were also encouraged to invest in some very, very risky financial instruments. And the honest fact is that the number of the banks that were offering these financial instruments, they knew that they were very, 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 very risky. So we had this big financial crash, as Simone mentioned. People lost their jobs. People lost their homes. People were out on the streets. There was this big crisis. What's going to happen to the American economy? And it went across the pond to Europe, and they had a lot of issues as well. It was a big global issue. And some very smart guys in Washington said, well, we have to bail out the banks because they are too big to fail. And by the way, we're not going to worry about charging any of those bankers with any of their misdeeds, because, you know, it's all part of the friends and family, you know, and we have to get them back up and running. And only Lehman Brothers actually collapsed. And what the wise guys in Washington did is that they took money from the ordinary citizen, and we had quantitative easing, and they gave tons and tons of money, billions and billions of dollars to these financial institutions who had done wrong by the same citizens who were now out of jobs, lost their homes, and they're propped back up these financial institutions because they were too big to fail. All right. So somewhere around 2008, somebody, some person, we don't know who they are, she is, they were, they are, called Satoshi Nakamoto. They came together and said, listen, we have a problem here. One of the problems we have here is with money, because all currencies across the world have been losing value every time a new currency has been created. So first of all, we used to have things like shells that were money and currency. And then we had dung, and people would, the farmers would trade this dung, and then they would sell this dung as fertilizer and that sort of thing. And then, of course, we had the Roman coins. The Roman minted these gold coins, and then these gold coins were defaced because then they would add some copper and some lead and things like that. Yeah. So the history of money essentially is that all money has lost value. And if you're young enough or old enough, you might recall when the British pound was what, $4, Margaret? $4.50. You might recall when the Jamaican dollar was worth more than the US dollar, right? And now it's what, 60 to 1 or whatever it is. So all currencies have lost value. And this guy or guys came together and said, let's look at what we have already. Let's look at the math. Let's look at the software, the tools. Let's look at cryptography. And let's see if we can design something that is far better, that has far more life, that will much more longevity. And between 2008 and in 2009, they minted what became the first Bitcoin. And the first Bitcoin has issues like all cryptocurrencies, and it still does. It's not the fastest cryptocurrency. It does take its time. But one of the things about the Bitcoin was that it was totally decentralized. So no bank, no government, no central bank could control this money now that you and I and Simone and Dwayne have access to, right? Sorry, Sharian, go ahead. Sharian, you have a question? Okay, all right, Sharian is muted. All right, so we were saying that the response by Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever they were to create Bitcoin, was a response to this financial crisis. And what we had is that we had a cryptocurrency that could not be controlled by a central bank, a governor, banks, financial institutions. It was not physical gold that you could not take from one place to another. You could move it very easily. All you needed was a wallet, a cell phone, or your laptop, and you could buy these cryptocurrencies from an exchange. And one of the beautiful things financially about Bitcoin is that Bitcoin has 21 million Bitcoins that there will ever be. So when all the 21 million Bitcoins have been bought, there will be no more Bitcoins, all right? And the advantage of that is simple economics, supply and demand, all right? Great demand, limited supply, price goes up, okay? So we have seen certainly for the first 10 years, pushing forward quickly, there's not a history lesson. We've seen for the first 10 years that Bitcoin's price rose by 145%. So if you had bought Bitcoin back in the early days and you had some faith and trust in it, and you thought it's something that had some longevity and you stayed around for the first 10 years, you'll be like a colleague of mine who a couple of years ago bought 30 acres of prime beachfront land in Christchurch in the South Coast, purely with profits from Bitcoin, all right? And Bitcoin still is the only, the prime decentralized coin, but others have come along. And since then, we've had Ethereum, we've had a number of other coins, which I'm going to get to, but we'll get to that later on. Ethereum and some, other coins, Cardano, Dogecoin, the meme coins, Shiba Inus, those questionable coins that really don't have much use cases, polka dots, phantoms, and coins that have been developed and with very significant and substantial use cases behind them, and that's why they've become very, very attractive, and they've done very, very well. Yeah. So Bitcoin was the forerunner, and today there are what you call Bitcoin maximalists. There are people who will buy Bitcoin and only Bitcoin and nothing else but Bitcoin, and will buy them and they will hold them until eternity, because they believe that regardless of how much flexibility or volatility there is in the market, Bitcoin will always get back up to a higher price at some point in time. Yeah. So we see a few cents, from a few cents, it went to a few $100s, showed up to $1,000. In December 2017, it shot up from about $7,000 to $20,000. And Hallam, who at the time had just gotten the year in front, learning this stuff, and got a small group of folks together, was not smart enough or didn't know enough to have all the technical indicator knowledge and what's not, which I have a little bit more now of. So I would have been able to recognize, oh, the price is coming down, or it has to come back down. Let me sell at the appropriate time rather than being caught with these bags of Bitcoin at much higher price. But I got caught, and a lot of people got caught because it was a learning experience for a lot of people in 2017. Right? And as more and more people join, they will make some of those same mistakes and they will learn either being self-taught or to get proper education to deal with that. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have developed. They have many use cases, and we'll touch on some of those use cases, but they have developed and they are here to stay. And what has happened now is that essentially cryptocurrencies have created a problem for the existing system. The current system that we have is what we call a centralized system. It's very slow, it's very costly. All right, things take very long to move. You could send money from one place to another place. It might take 3 days, 5 days. Right, it's very slow, costly. It's quite insecure. People have hacked into the Barbados Supreme Court and the registry, and people's individual information, private information, has been compromised. We've even had situations in which the police website. I remember the technical guy who called the police one day and said, "Hi, good evening. Do you know that somebody's hacking into your website?" And banks have been hacked into, restaurants, hotels, they've all been hacked into. But this is a problem that we've had for ages. We've had ransomware for quite some time. We've had a colonial pipeline issue in the US, which is now apparently being sorted out. So ransomware has been a big problem for quite some time, and it didn't just appear because something called Bitcoin popped set up in 2009. Yeah. Some people give that impression that Bitcoin is actually not the 1% or about that in terms of total costs, in terms of the financial costs to the world, but it's a whole lot more, and that's actually not the case. It's really a significant portion of the financial troubles that we have in terms of ransomware and cyber security and cyber fraud. Yeah. So back again to a little bit of history. We now have new currencies that they address the issue of centralization. So they're far more secure because they're based on cryptography. They're far faster. You can move them in a matter of minutes and seconds. Yeah. They are much more respective of your privacy, but they are not. They're not coins that you can just hide away what you're doing from the world, and that's again another misunderstanding that cryptocurrencies are there to be used by criminals and all sorts of people, money launderers and all sorts of things. Actually, a lot of people who get caught and are in jail now with those nice, bright orange suits in New York and the US and other places like that, they were caught because they thought that cryptocurrencies were some new form of money that they could get away and they could hide with. And in fact, that's not the case at all. Right? And finally, so it's 5 things that we're addressing in terms of cryptocurrency, which I think a blockchain and cryptocurrency offer to us. One, they're far faster. Two, they are far costly, far cheaper, right? Because the cost of money and cost of doing business, certainly in banks, is very, very high. They're far more secure, right? They're far more respectful of our privacy. And the last area which relates very much to cryptocurrency is in my view, my personal view, they provide tremendous opportunities for creation of financial wealth and addressing the issues that I touched on earlier, the issues of jobs that a lot of young people may be looking to find out. Well, I've got a honest degree, I've worked really hard. Okay, am I going to leave the university now? I'm going to pump gas because there are no jobs available, you know, and that's kind of some of the situations that we have here. We have to think about how can we create jobs in blockchain, cryptocurrency, and that sort of thing. While people are still studying, they're still young. And my argument, my proposition to Stephen Williams, who has a daughter who is 8, is that I would suggest that he starts educating his 8-year-old daughter from today, 8 years old, so that in 8 years, in another year and a half, or 2 years, 9.5 or 10, his daughter could be sitting down in the chair I'm sitting down in and giving a presentation on blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies to her peers and other folk who will be willing or expected to pay her for her knowledge. Yeah. So I kind of mentioned earlier that blockchain for me is for young minds, and blockchain is young minds can be anywhere between 8 and 80. So if you fit in anywhere between, happen to fit in anywhere between 8 and 80, blockchain is for you, and there are a lot of opportunities that can be provided to you. So essentially what we're seeing now is a shift and acceptance by certainly the younger generation, but I also have a lot of older friends as well, over 40, who are actually investing with me and working with me, and they see the value of investing in cryptocurrency. And why is that? Partly because you know how things work when you put your disposable income on the bank. First of all, we've been told that the inflation rate in Barbados is somewhere between 2 and 3%, and that's going to increase. And we know that prices are increasing. If you go into supermarkets, mini marts, whatever, you say, oh, how come about a small bottle of coffee is almost $12? So we have all of these supply chain logistics and issues and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you know, the consumer don't really care about all those technology issues and what's not. He cares about the fact that it's like, I got $10 or $12 to pay for this cup of coffee, this bottle of coffee, or bread gone up, right? We heard that bread went up a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure about it, so I was told. So the prices are going up. And if you keep the disposable income on a bank, what happens actually is that the bank says, thank you very much. Please come and save all your money with us. The banks then take your money, they invest your money elsewhere, and they make profits, and they have nice bank accounts that look pretty good at the end of the year, fiscal year, or whatever. And then they charge you for the service of keeping your money, your disposable income, your hard work on their banks. And what's the reward? Well, the interest on your savings is negative interest, right? And it's negative in the US, it's negative all over the world. It's not the fault of the banks, all right? Because monetary policy is covered and responsible for the central bank of these different countries. They manage and they dictate what the monetary policy is. So you can't blame the banks for that. But what we can say is that we are in a really awful state when we're working so hard, our money is working so hard for us, we're working so hard for our money, we're told we got to work even harder, and we put all our money, disposable income, those that have disposable income on a bank, and at the end of the day, end of the year, that money, that hard work loses value. So the research shows that in Europe, for example, if you put 100 euros on a bank over the next year, those 100 euros in terms of value becomes value of 97 euros. So you've lost 3 euros of value. You've lost 3 euros of your hard work and your net value, okay? So when we talk about blockchain and cryptocurrencies, that is the sort of perspective that I would like us to have a discussion on, right? we're in a strange situation, a financial situation. We have issues of pensions, issues of insurance. We need to find ways of creating wealth. You know, yes, we have to buy a house, a home. Yes, we have to get a car. But what about planning and growing wealth down the road? Maybe for our children's education, maybe for our own personal pensions and insurance. Can we start young? Can we start educating our young people? This is the way that we want them to go. Yeah. So blockchain and cryptocurrencies, as I said, they are very, very related. And we have seen the development of this technology, and it's developed at a considerably rapid pace. All right. So we don't just have cryptocurrencies now, but we have cryptocurrencies that have use cases. We have cryptocurrencies like Ethereum. We have competing cryptocurrencies and projects with Ethereum in the area of non-fungible tokens. So you might have heard, if you did listen to the session that on the metaverse some days ago, you would have heard about NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And what is a non-fungible token? Essentially, it is the digitization of any form of creative work. So if Margaret is a fantastic poet, Margaret's poetry can be digitized, created and minted into an NFT, secured on the blockchain, put on an international site like OpenSea or Rarible or whatever, and Margaret can now sell her fantastic poetry to a global market. And I have friends who, a couple of, I would say they're still young, between 20 and 30, and they have sold an individual NFT, right? Both of them sold individual NFT for $7,000, $7,000 US, okay? So that's just an opportunity of what is available and what Margaret can do. But what about Stephen Williams's 8-year-old, not sure if it's a daughter or son. Is it a daughter or son, Margaret? Daughter or son? I'm not hearing you. All right, you're laughing. All right, let's assume it's a son or daughter.
Daughter. Daughter, he has daughters,
right.
yes.
Right. Yeah, okay, so let's go to Stephen Williams' 8-year-old daughter. She might begin to have an interest, and he might put her in that direction or whatever to become an artist. Now, an artist can be a painter, right? Artist can be, as you mentioned, a poet, it can be a writer, it can be a singer, it can be a musician. I was trying to sing some music to Margaret earlier, but she was taking me on. So it can be any form of artist that you can have, any form of art form, you know, singing, music, dancing, whatever it is. And if you can develop skills and talents, and we know that we have skills and talents that are of an international standard here in Barbados. Question is then, are we going to restrict these artists of international quality? I mean, if you are the poet like Dio the poet, or Cindy, all right, okay, or Stone and Cupid, right? Okay, not to mention some of the older fellas, the Farrells and that sort of fellas, right? What about a Margaret Gale who is putting together a series of poems about Camel Brathwaite? What are they going to do? What opportunities do they have? Are they locked into a world in Barbados where, like a snow cone vendor, where their market is entirely Barbadian and there are other snow cone vendors out there selling the same product, perhaps at the same price, with the same milk or whatever, or coconut or whatever, same days, to a local market? No. These individuals now have, as a result of the blockchain and as a result of the education that they can get and the training that they can get from as early as 8 years, as I am recommended to Stephen Williams' daughter and to Stephen and his family, to learn if NFTs is their thing, if they're creative artists, that is the way that they can go. It is a huge market. There's billions and billions of dollars pouring into it. And it's not just, and it's any form of art, really. It's, you know, it's, I mean, there's some there's some strange looking memes and creatures and what's not that people are paying some strange and silly money for, right? We have a diaspora. What about using the NFTs and reaching out and marketing to that diaspora? It's the same discussion that we're beginning to have with regards to the metaverse, because the metaverse is not only about Barbados setting up missions in a cost benefit way, rather than having to build mortars and build brick and stone mortars and buildings all over the world. You can now have your real world, but also your kind of like fantasy world. People with avatars going around, but they're doing some of the same things that people would normally be doing if the individuals, but in avatar form. In addition to looking at investing in expanding trade and investment and that sort of thing, yeah, using the metaverse, and Barbados has become the first country to get in the metaverse using the decentralized platform. What about all these creative artists that we produce? Yeah, because the metaverse, again, we don't know when it's going to get all sorted out, but metaverse can be another option, another international platform where these artists can put their work up on some part of the metaverse, the Barbados metaverse, and can be marketed to a global, internationally, and people, not only from the diaspora, but others might see some of their work and say, I want to pay some good money because she's having value. I have a controversial idea of an NFT of taking Nelson and making an NFT of Nelson and selling Nelson back to the British, right? Kind of strange and awkward to think about. Anyhow, that's another thing, all right? So NFTs are not only about artists, you have any form of, it also relates to gaming, yeah? Once upon a time, gaming, my next door neighbor, he comes home from work and he is, he's had a hard day at work. So what does he do? He jumps on for his console and he's, I get all of that in my ears because I know that he's home now and he's getting some relief attention, and some relief from the COVID stuff and what's not. And he's playing his little fun and games with his console equipment and his computer and or a television set or whatever. And then after he's finished, well, he said, "Oh, good, let me go sleep now." All right, but we now have something called GameFi, which is kind of like, I would say, gaming and finance put together. Just like how you have decentralized DeFi, decentralized finance, right? We now have something called GameFi. And so Stephen's daughter, if she's interested, I know of a youngster, he's a very prominent journalist in Barbados. He is the godfather of a young child, right? And that child is learning how to play games, all right? And they're not playing games as an addiction. Listen carefully, they're not playing games as an addiction, and we call it like playing games, and they got a lot of time to waste, and the parents behind them knocking them over the head, say, go and do your studies, go and do your English, your mathematics. That child is learning a skill in gaming, which that child will then, with the appropriate education and the appropriate mentorship and help, will now turn that skill into an opportunity to do two things. One, to invest in gaming, right? And to play gaming, it could be Axie Infinity or whatever, and to make money and to earn money. So gaming is not about earning money, and it's not about investing. So I have a friend in Trinidad, and he's very busy with blockchain stuff and what's not. And so what does he do? He has some contacts with some young Filipino kids in the Philippines, okay? So he gives them money. They get on their gaming platforms, and they play games against some little American kids who are really quite outside to get the really money from them, right? And they make a lot of money and they earn money. And then this guy gets a return on his investment, all right? So GameFi and gaming is now about investing and it's about learning skills. So that youngster that I mentioned earlier, he is not just playing games for fun. He is playing games to learn skills because, why? Because he sees gaming as his future entrepreneurship, his future career, his future job. It might be a side hustle, but he sees it as an opportunity now to make money and to benefit from the investment. And that is really what cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology are about. Because if you have an NFT, how are you going to mint your NFT and get it posted on OpenSea unless you buy Ethereum or Tron cryptocurrency or whatever cryptocurrency or platform you're using, and then you're paying the gas fees or whatever fees to get your product on the international stage. So you see the relationship now between cryptocurrencies and blockchain. They're not two separate things altogether. So let's talk now about decentralized finance, because blockchain and cryptocurrencies, in my humble view, it offers benefits to the nation state. And we've seen El Salvador, they've adopted Bitcoin as a national standard currency, and they've said to the businesses and what's not, you need to accept this when people come bring their Bitcoins to you. Okay, so we're seeing changes in the world as far as Bitcoin is concerned. All right, but we are also seeing benefits to the nation state. So the nation state could invest in Bitcoin, and it could say, well, okay, if it has the funds, we're going to invest in Bitcoin for 5 years, and then we're going to take out some profits, and then we're going to have to pay part of our health budget, part of that, the cost of running the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, right? So this is somebody thinking that we need to get the countries, and some of them are begin to think about already in terms of how blockchain and cryptocurrency can work for them, yeah? Corporations now, let's go to businesses. So we now have decentralized finance, all right? Decentralized finance, what does that mean? It means that any form of service or banking or financial service can now be decentralized. So rather than having to go to a building with brick and mortar and everything else, you can now have a decentralized platform that is essentially a cryptographically secured website, all right? And you can offer all those services that are offered by financial institutions in Barbados and globally today, and they are being offered already. So insurance, pensions, mutual funds, savings and loans at better rates, insurance, all the stuff that the Sagicars are doing, and Goddard Enterprises and real estate, all of those things that these traditional companies are doing, having come up from a centralized history, decentralized companies are now springing up around the world and offering those services and products in competition with the existing old traditional companies and businesses, yeah? So banks and all the institutions, they have an opportunity, I think, to adapt and refit, retrofit, and see how they can get into this new space before some of these companies come and take away all their customers. Yeah, and we're seeing that in the US as well, that some of these companies are actually taking away business from traditional banks. Yeah, part of it, of course, has to do, again, and I want to stress this point, that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are about the real world. All right, we know that the cost of living in the United States was just shocked. Everybody got shocked when they heard that the cost of living had gone by 7%, which of course some people believe it's a whole lot more than 7%. All right, but we know the prices have gone up. All the issues with supply chain and that sort of stuff. And so again, what does that mean for these companies? So you have companies now, you know, that are looking to set up these type of businesses and are already offering some of these services in the same way that you could go to a bank and once per thing you could get maybe a 2.5% interest rate. Now you gain 0.0010 whatever. There are companies that are offering lending and what we call staking services, and they're offering you 5% plus 10%, 12%, 40%, whatever. So clearly you see that the competition is coming for some of the traditional companies, right? And it's going to come to Barbados. It's going to get here eventually. The only thing that we're going to be absolved from all of this is going to happen here. And we have to figure out now, how can we take advantage of these opportunities? How can we educate our young people? How can we educate ourselves? How can we take advantage of these opportunities that offer in the real world? And another area of, we talk about NFTs, we're talking about NFTs, we're talking about GameFi, we talk about decentralized finance, and then we have something called fungible tokens. So real estate, you could create a fungible token of a property even before the property has been built. A large corporation, you could create a fungible token of that, and then you could offer to maybe Dwayne and say, hi, Dwayne, I'm building this fantastic property here, seaside property. It's bound to make millions and millions of dollars. I'm going to offer you a fungible token so you can invest in this property. Right? You'll be an early investor, take your chance, and Dwayne says, sounds like a great idea. I'm going to put $10,000 into that because I can see a lot of opportunities for getting a 1x return maybe, or 50% return or whatever. And, you know, we're talking about young people now looking at things like pensions and insurance, okay? You know, you're talking about trading, which we're going to get into. We talk trading and investing, making profits, earning money, and what we're going to do with that money. Are you just going to come back at me? You could do like me. I bought a nice spanking silver gray HP Intel Core, 8 megs of RAM, Intel Core 3, you know, fast hard drive laptop the other day, because my old goalies here are beginning to fade on me. And I said, I need something new. And my friend of mine, Kevin, said, my Hallam, spend a little them profits you're making from cryptocurrencies, and you know, buy yourself a new laptop, man. It's stupid. So got myself a new laptop. It's there, sitting down, and I watch all my videos, watch all the BIPA events and whatever on that. And I've got my two other systems here. So you can make money from trading and investing in cryptocurrencies, and you can do whatever you want with it. You can start to create your own pension fund. You can start to create your own little insurance for a family, as an individual, whatever you want to do. And the other area I want to touch on, this can get a little controversial now, all right? I'm going to suggest to you that you, the individual, with the appropriate knowledge, can become your own retail bank. I mean, banks are giving you 0.01% savings, negative savings. So why do you keep your money on the bank? Because the bank is supposed to be safer than if you put your money under your mattress, under your pillow, right? Somebody got the house burns down, money gone, you know, it's not a good place. But what if you had your own retail bank, all right? What if you had this little guy here? It looks like a flash drive, doesn't it? Yeah, okay, yeah. Plugs into your laptop, yeah, okay. And this is actually a hardware wallet. There are different types of wallet. There are hot wallets that are a little bit more susceptible to being hacked. But again, this has, in this case, 2 ledgers. So you could, you know, you could have one ledger for your family, or you could have another ledger for Simone, and say, hi Simone, how are you doing? How would you like to have an account with you're part of my community? How would you like to come and save your Bitcoin on my blockchain-based retail bank? You know, it might be a good idea to save up some of that disposable income. You know, don't spend everything at supermarkets and flying all over the place. Buy some Bitcoins and add to it a little bit. Do some dollar cost average. You might add $200 this month, $500 next month. What you can afford, you do not invest money that you cannot afford or that you need to pay your bills and put gas in. But if you do have disposable income that you don't need over the next year or so, maybe you might want to consider buying some cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and securing them on the blockchain with a hardware wallet like this, okay? So now you become your own bank, yeah? And your community could have your own community bank. So waiting for the credit unions to wake up and realize that they don't have to wait until the time is right to have their own bank. The technology allows for that to happen. No. Ditto, all the corporations and the insurance companies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the point about it is that going back to 2008, what Satoshi Nakamoto, he or she or they are, and we don't really care who they are, what if then they created new opportunities for financial creation, right? New opportunities for us to create financial wealth. I'm not hearing anybody stopping me and asking any questions. So I just said, this is not going to be a tirade from me. Please, if you have any questions, please ask some questions. If there are any questions in the chat, put them in the chat, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So We talk about how blockchain has developed and is continuing to develop. It's continuing to grow. Millions and billions of dollars are pouring into all of these types of projects and all of these types of platforms and all these new types of services that we are seeing. All right, and a couple of comments I like to relate to from time to time. One is Sir Arthur Lewis. Sir Arthur Lewis argued that, and I'm going to pause for a little while for questions and comments. Sir Arthur Lewis argues that the solution to poverty is not money. What is the solution to poverty? Anybody knows what the solution to poverty is?
I'm not sure what that solution is, Hallam, but we do have a question here from the audience, BB. That person wants to know what is the best wallets in your opinion for staking.
Okay, so I'm going to get into that shortly, but I just want to finish on a couple of points. First of all, so Arthur Lewis said the solution to poverty is not money. The solution to poverty is knowledge.
And education.
Education, not knowledge. I think he said it's education, not knowledge, right? Right, Margaret? Education. Anyhow, education, knowledge, you get my point. You get the knowledge and education just as the child who's getting into gaming because he's developing a skill to create a business, right? And it goes for everything else, decentralized finance, whatever. And blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies are going to impact on the lives of you and I in a myriad of ways, you know. So it could be renewable energy, it could be climate change. I mean, you just think about whatever area there is, and there is more than likely an opportunity. Agriculture, farming, you know, these are potentially use cases that are already in place and are eventually going to come into Barbados, and it's going to impact on all the professionals as well. So if Margaret Leon thinks that she's going to get away from not being touched by cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, I've got a very, very sad awakening for you. You are going to be impacted. So when you're a lawyer, accountant, whatever profession you are, at some point in time, cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology will come knocking on your door. And the question is, are you going to wait for it to come knocking on your door, or are you going to get educated about it? And my last quote is from a couple of people. One is a guy called Bill Miller. Bill Miller is one of the most legendary hedge fund managers in the world. He beat the Standard & Poor 500 15 times in a year. He made more money for his hedge fund, for his investors, than the Standard & Poor, which is the leading index on the stock market, could make. All right, and he tells people, put 1% of your net value in Bitcoin. But what is he doing? Is he putting 1%? No, he is putting 50% of his net value in Bitcoin. And finally, there's this guy in Mexico. He is the third richest person in Mexico. His name is Ricardo Salinas. Ricardo Salinas Pliego. All right, he got about $30 billion or so U.S. net worth. Okay, and he's putting all his money. He's putting his money and he's investing in Bitcoin. And he's telling people, you know, this is where you need to go. All right, so these are people that are of substance. And they see Bitcoin and blockchain technology as the future. And come back to the question though, Margaret. Wallets, yeah? Which is the best wallet? Yeah, okay, fine. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, well, okay, to cut a long story short, right? I mentioned that the hardware wallet, which is backed by the blockchain. So your funds and your cryptocurrencies are stored on the blockchain, is the best and most secure hardware wallet. Now, the problem with that is that suppose you're investing and trading in that, so you might not want to keep all your funds on the hardware wallet and then moving it back to an exchange and then moving back to the hardware wallet because there are transaction fees every time you want to move it. But if you want to decide, well, you know, I'm earning Bitcoin and I'm looking at for long-term period, I want to help my child's education or whatever, perhaps the hardware wallet might be the one. There are a couple of other wallets I'm just going to briefly mention. And there are hundreds and thousands of them, yeah? So there's the hot wallet, which is the hot. Usually you can go and log into somebody's website and you can sign up, and they may or may not ask you for KYC. They may or may not ask you for your some personal information, yeah, just to make sure that that they can track that you're not a hacker, somebody hacking into your account. So they may ask you for that, but it's free, costs you nothing. So it's kind of, some people could call it a hot wallet, all right? And this is a wallet outside of an exchange, and we're going to get into cryptocurrencies now, yeah? And with when you have your account now on an exchange, you also have another wallet, because you have to send funds from one point to another point. So to answer your question, briefly, you have hardware wallets, which is more secure, and they're excellent if you want to do dollar cost averaging, if you want to save your money, your currencies, and if you want to earn and store them there for a long time. Best place to have your cryptocurrencies. The hot wallets, some of them are very reliable. Others might possibly be hacked, but a lot of effort is going into security now, and a lot of effort is going into the criminals to break that security. All right. And then you have exchange wallets. And so if you're trading and investing on an exchange, you will need to have a wallet. All right. Any more questions, Margaret?
Yeah. How in Barbados can I find a wallet or purchase NFTs? This is from BB once again.
How in Barbados can you find a wallet?
Yes, please, or purchase NFTs. Do we have that facility?
So you don't find wallets in Barbados, because wallets are no longer physical items that you go around and you buy from a store. All right, you buy everything from an online store or go to a site where they are for a particular wallet, and you just sign up for it, and they don't charge you anything for it, because the whole idea is that you're going to be putting funds on their wallets and transferring them back and forth, and they're going to make in transaction fees from those exchanges, those exchanges of funds. Yeah. So NFT. Sorry, what again was the question with NFT?
Right. Or can you purchase NFTs in Barbados? Is there a facility to purchase? Right. Where you can purchase NFTs in Barbados.
Okay. So when we think about cryptocurrencies and blockchain, let's think globally. All right. Let's not think about going out to Broad Street and going in. So, hey, hello, do you have any NFTs? May I have a look at your NFTs? Yes, they are, of course, on a global market. So maybe somebody could say, yeah, come and look at this this site or whatever, and I can carry it to OpenSea or whatever. And yeah, here's a nice, wonderful NFT by Dio the Poet or Cindy or some painter like Sadie or whatever. And they're charging you $500, $300, $1,000, whatever. So think about it as a global market where you can go and you can buy NFTs. No, NFTs are not just about what we see as the traditional forms of music, dance, paintings, and that sort of thing. They're also memes. I mean, an NFT can be a tweet. Somebody bought an NFT from Jack Dorsey when he was CEO of Twitter for $1.2 million. Now, why on earth would anybody spend $1.2 million to buy a tweet that was minted as an NFT just because it has Jack Dorsey's name on it? But there are all these what we call strange creatures as well. They're also NFTs. So NFT can be as abstract as you want it to be. As I said, it could be our friend Nelson. Somebody go and take a photograph of Nelson and create him into NFT and go and sell him on OpenSea and charge some Englishman maybe $5,000 US, right? Hey, I only got 5 Nelson statues in my portfolio, and I can sell you one for $5,000. I can get all 5 for $25,000 US. How about that, right? And then somebody might buy them on $1 million or whatever, and they go around and say, well, I got this NFT of Nelson statue, right? So an NFT can be anything, can be strange, abstract, or whatever. And you can go, yes, you can yeah, you can go to sites like OpenSea and Rarible. You know, you could go to somebody's site. You can just go to Google and look for maybe NFT sites or NFT platforms, you know, and you could do some research on YouTube and learn about this stuff. So yeah, you can find your NFTs, whatever you want.
Yes, but noting that we would have spoken about creative value and persons locally having the talent to create different things. I believe I speak subject to correction, and the BB can correct me. I am thinking that the BB is probably looking at some tangible way that they can be exposed to an NFT, a local NFT in Barbados. Correct me, BB, if I am wrong, but I think the person, yes, you can go on Google and so on. But is there a local space here in Barbados where persons can, you know, have access to NFTs?
That's a good
As
question,
opposed
Margaret.
to going to Google.
Right. That's a very good question, Margaret. Last year, when the UN Trade Association trade body had their big conference here, Barbados hosted it. As part of the activities for that was a digital art, which included digital art and traditional art exhibition, and it was organized by Zoe Osborne. She was the curator, and Zoe is an NFT. I don't think she would like to call herself an artist. She is a designer. Okay, so I mean NFTs and design. I mean, you know, like fashion design. I mean, all this stuff can be included there. So Zoe Osborne was responsible as the curator for organizing this digital art show, right? Exhibition. And you know, if you want to get into meet up with some of those individuals, I can certainly put you in touch with some of them. I mean, I know people who are. I have a friend, and he's at 2 o'clock in the morning and 2:30. He's working on NFTs, and that's part of his business. He designs and creates NFTs. He sells them. He's getting into all sorts of other creative work, like publishing and that sort of thing. And that is what he's doing for a business. Okay, it's not fun and games. Okay, right? It's serious stuff with money, right? So I would say to the individual, our friend, Mary, you can put my contact information in the chat. It's hallamhope@gmail.com, and also you can even put in my cell phone number as well. And she can come back to me with WhatsApp, and anybody at all who wants to come back to me to get further information, I am happy to do that for that individual. Yeah. Next question.
Okay. Yes, please. So BB did come back to us, and basically I was thinking about the actual NFT, but BB is saying that they meant how to purchase. Most banks and credit cards in Barbados do not allow crypto purchases.
Good question. Good question. And that's going to come into that, and that is a nice avenue of transiting into the
noting that it has been difficult to purchase with credit cards and BIM. So BB appears to have been trying to purchase NFTs in Barbados.
I got that. And the issue here really, BB, is how do you get a purchase cryptocurrency so that you can purchase the NFTs and cryptocurrencies? Yeah. So all the banks in Barbados, I wouldn't say that there's a cartel, but for some strange reason or coincidence, all of the banks do not allow you to use your credit card or your debit card to send elsewhere, send overseas, which you can then use to have them deposit in a wallet or on an exchange and buy cryptocurrencies, you know? So, so how do we do it? Well, what happens to the taxi driver who takes a tourist around the island for charge maybe $100 or US or whatever? He doesn't necessarily go and put all that $100 into a bank. You might go across the road to some merchant who's selling something and say, "Hi, John, we got $100 US. You got 200 Barbados dollars?" And you say, "Oh, happy to see that $100 US. Man, here's your $200. So likewise, when it comes to purchasing cryptocurrency to buy that NFT, put on an exchange up to today, I had that in the situation. I would say you have to be in the right groups, know the right people. You might have to join a line, right? Because there is a huge demand out there. So let's say Dwayne works in Barbados, lives in Barbados, but he's working for a firm overseas, and they are paying him in cryptocurrency. They might be paying him in USDT, which is a stable coin, or they might be paying him in Bitcoin. And Dwayne now knows my friend Roger, COG008. Yes, Roger, I'm going to get you in there. So Dwayne knows COG008, Roger. And Roger says, well, I know Simone, because Simone is interested, Simone is interested in buying cryptocurrency to go and trade and invest in, or buy NFTs or whatever she wants to do with that. Okay, let me put you in touch with her, but I am going to take your cryptocurrency and I'm going to sell it to her, and she's going to get the cryptocurrency that you want in Barbados dollars so that you can pay your bills and your expenses in Barbados currency. So Dwayne now has Bitcoin. He wants US Barbados dollars to pay his, children who go to school and all that sort of stuff, for gas in the car, and by going to the supermarket. So Dwayne takes the Bitcoin that he has, he's worked for, he gives it to John. John is now going to put him in contact with Jane. Jane wants the cryptocurrency. All right, so Jane gives John the Barbados equivalent. John gives Dwayne the Barbados equivalent of the cryptocurrency, and then John will now send Dwayne's Bitcoin to a wallet that Jane has. And as you mentioned, it could be a hot wallet, it could be a hardware wallet, or maybe a wallet on an exchange. And then Jane now can now go and take that cryptocurrency, maybe Ethereum or whatever cryptocurrency, and she can go on a site and she can see a lovely poem that Margaret has on OpenSea, and she said, I love that poem so much, I need to buy it. Here is my $300 US worth of cryptocurrency. Margaret gets her $300 US for her poem, and Jane gets her wonderful NFT. I hope I've explained it. It's kind of, we don't have a real official market, but that's how people are getting around things and getting around the banks. And eventually, as we heard, Stephen made a very, very relevant point. You really got to listen to that program that people had the other evening. Stephen Williams made the same point that I've been arguing for a couple of years now, that we need to find a bank. And why can't the credit unions look at it? Whereby that, Jane doesn't have to go that roundabout thing to buy her cryptocurrencies. She can go to some place that she just walks into them and say, hi, this is my 500 Barbados dollars. Or I see you got a Bitcoin ATM or Ethereum ATM or usually a Bitcoin ATM. I can pay my 500 Barbados dollars. I can get X amount of Bitcoin at the current market price, and then it's going to go onto a wallet. It's going to go onto a wallet, right? And then she will send the Bitcoin to whoever she wants to send it to buy the NFTs or put on an exchange and trade or whatever.
Yeah. We have Jerry George here of DigiSolve. Yeah. And he too has more of a comment and a question here on NFTs, which, if I'm thinking it is along the same lines that you were just explaining. It goes, one creates an NFT for a piece of property and sells that NFT. Someone else or the same person creates an NFT for the same property. So then they are both original NFTs and backed by blockchain, but it is not actually tied in a one-on-one, one-to-one way to any physical asset. So what stops someone from creating thousands of NFTs to the same 1 square foot of land. What
Right.
determines the value of all of those NFTs? Is it just pure speculation of people thinking that they can later hawk it for more money? What actually determines that value? Since
Right.
there seems to be no instance of scarcity with regards to NFTs. And he continues on, it says, but the picture of the statue is not a limited resource because anyone else can take photos and create more NFTs of Nelson or even multiple NFTs from that same initial picture.
All right, so let me help you out there, and thanks, Jerry. You know, I know Jerry pretty well for quite some time. So when you create an NFT, you create something that's original. All right, so I take a photograph of Margaret, and I create an NFT of Margaret. I store it on the blockchain, and the blockchain recognizes that my NFT of Margaret is an original by Hallam. Okay, so if somebody wants to come and say, well, okay, I got a photograph of Margaret too, and then the question of regards to the painting or whatever it is that the blockchain will reject it, because the blockchain will say, well, this is not the original of Margaret. This is not the same thing as putting a photograph of Margaret on a site. Each of the blocks verifies that the original Nelson, designed by Hallam, in whatever way he created, is his original work, right? And therefore, Jerry will not be able to come and say, well, this is also an original by Hallam, and therefore he will get rejected. How it's going to work on the metaverse, it is still emerging. What I would say is, yeah, a lot of stuff is still speculative stuff. What I would say is that when Bitcoin first came out and when the first blockchain was created, it was created in an atmosphere of immense speculation, right? And what happens with all technology or many technologies is that some of them will fail, and some people will put more money into them. They will see the value of them. Those technologies will become very, very valuable and worth something to people, and they will be improved on. The cryptography or the security will be improved on. Yes, there are always going to be hacks. You know, somebody will all get smart and hack into something. I mean, it happens all the time, right? But then people say, well, okay, let's plug that hole there, you know? Or maybe in some cases we've seen like the colonial energy hack. People have actually, and even in recent times, people have actually caught the cryptocurrencies in time, or held them in some sort of space whereby the owners now, the criminals who want to use these cryptocurrencies, they don't have access to them. In some cases, some people would say, well, okay, or you know, so that in some cases these cryptocurrencies have been withheld from the original hackers. Or in some cases, you have a situation in which somebody might hack into X amount of cryptocurrencies, and somebody say, okay, fine, you got my cryptocurrencies, I can pay you X amount. You give back my cryptocurrencies and you get X amount, and the company might be happy with that because it might be a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah. So we're always going to be speculate. There's always going to be speculation. In the case of metaverse, you know, there are always going to be issues of cybercrime or maybe somebody trying to steal somebody else's land. There are a myriad of potential problems that could happen with the metaverse. And if you think about it, those same myriad problems are happening today, because once you have the internet, you have a space that anybody could hack into and do anything. So technically speaking, somebody could come and maybe engage in cyberbullying on the metaverse. You know, you might have some stuff, somebody might be this, saying a lot of bad things about your work or whatever, or, you know, anything that can touch the internet can have has all those negative implications, ransomware, all those issues. you know, nobody's saying the metaverse or blockchain technology is perfect. It has lots of problems. Even blockchains within some of these cryptocurrencies have had problems. And people and some individuals have managed, companies, organizations have managed to hack into some of these holes and what's not. It's not a perfect world, but it will get better, we expect, and more money is definitely flowing into it. And you know, Bitcoin has gone a long way. Many cryptocurrencies have gone a long way. NFTs will have problems and will hopefully survive. Decentralized finance, gaming, all these things, we expect with all the money that's being thrown into it and all of the increased talent that's being applied. So for example, right now, one of the leading ways of and most valuable ways of getting a job is as a software developer, right? So software developers can earn up to $100,000. Why is that? Because it's becoming very competitive and people can people's talent, because people are developing, they want to get the best talent to create the most secure and best types of technologies and products that are very attractive to people and to produce new types and new interested products and services. Yeah. So I hope that's helped, Jerry.
Yeah, it's interesting the perspective that you put forward, because then you did also mention ransomware, because we have the situation where you your property is taken online and you are threatened that you won't get it back unless you make some kind of a payment or something like that. So I believe it all filters down to the level of security too that is applied, because if you have property, an NFT, and it is supposedly okay to avoid from just random replication of one entity, where other persons can see the benefits of taking Nelson's picture as well. So then we have to maintain the level of security that is necessary to maintain that uniqueness of that NFT.
So there might be something peculiar or very interesting about the NFT that I designed of Margaret that might be far more interesting to a purchaser than something created by somebody else. You know, I'm not saying anybody can, anything can be digitized, anything can be put on a website, anything can be paid for. But when it comes now to the individual's intellectual property, right, and the ownership of a product or good, the blockchain offers that security and that uniqueness. So, for example, any transaction that goes onto the blockchain, let's say Dwayne, sorry to put on you, Dwayne, all the time. I try to find some more faces. Let's say Dwayne is sending some cryptocurrency to some Bitcoin to Roger, right? Dwayne sends it via the blockchain. He has his wallet. The wallet connects up to the blockchain. The blockchain is out there in between, you know. It goes via the blockchain. The blockchain now, all the blocks recognize that this transaction between Dwayne and Roger is a unique transaction, you know. And then they recognize and they capture that transaction. And then Roger will get his cryptocurrency from Dwayne. Now, if Hallam tries to usurp that and tries to do it some sort of double spend or some sort of thing to create as if he is providing the same cryptocurrency to Jane, right? The blockchain will recognize that what Dwayne sent over the blockchain to Roger is verifiable, and what Hallam is trying to do is rejected. Yeah. So blockchain essentially verifies. It could be goods, it could be shipping records, it could be ID records, it could be you know, it could be cryptocurrency transactions. The blockchain is securely recognized. Certainly Bitcoin blockchain recognizes, well, they all do. It recognizes a unique transaction, okay? And because it's peer-to-peer, you obviously you don't have to go through the 3 days and the 4 days of wait, and you don't have to worry about, you know, how many people saw my money and my private information between all of these intermediaries and that sort of thing. It's a lot faster. It could take minutes or whatever. I mean, all right, I can't get into people's private business here, but I mean, I got some cryptocurrency started up for a young lady, and the guy sent it to me, and I got it within 15 minutes. No, you got to wait 3 days, 5 days. I mean, they're highly qualified and knowledgeable financial investment gurus out there that tell you the same thing that Hallam can tell you, right? So I just learned from them that, you know, there are these advantages. There are these advantages, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have another question here. This is moving away a bit from where we were going just now with the NFTs. This one is from Roger. And Roger is asking a very direct question concerning children and gaming. You spoke earlier about the child or the young person using the gaming and so on as an entrepreneurial avenue. But Roger is asking, where do we draw the line regarding addiction, gaming or gambling? And Jerry follows up there. Great point, re-addiction of gaming versus gambling.
Right.
So what say you?
Yeah, very interesting point, Roger. And it reminds me of a conversation I had with a colleague after a game of golf many years ago. And he told me that, you know, he doesn't let his child go on the computer, on the internet, because he wants to protect her from all the bad things that are all happening on the internet, all the pornography and everything else. So he's not going to allow her to go on the internet. And I think as parents, we will say that that's a very myopic approach dealing with your child, because it's not only pornography and all sort of criminal stuff, or bad things you're going to see out there. There's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of education, and therefore the onus must be on the parent to manage that child, manage that situation with the child. You know what I mean? You know, work with the child and say, well, listen, you can't be spending 10 hours on gaming your skills and that sort of thing, because it is then, you know, an addiction. Yeah. But I see where you're going. I'm going to give you all my support, but we're going to work in terms of having a balance in terms of your formal education and your blockchain and cryptocurrency and gaming education. Yeah. So it boils down to parents as far as the children are and how young they are. I mean, right now I'm trying to get some information on the child, and I got to go through the parents, and that's correct, right? But the time is going to come when that child gets to 20 years or 25 years, and then they have to decide for themselves what they're going to do. Are you going to go and get your first degree and your master's, or are you going to study law or whatever it is, or are you going to do that as well as continue your gaming, so you have your entrepreneurship side, but you also have an academic side? These are things that parents have to deal with their children and address. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think that is where we might fall down a bit, because right now exposure to the technology, the internet and whatever might be there, despite the fact that we have the parental controls, we know that there are a lot of parents who are not really privy, and they don't understand how they can utilize these technologies and so on. Yes, so we have online school, but I don't know what is the percentage of children who might otherwise be expected to be in a classroom and they're, you know, elsewhere. Yeah. So it does come with with those falls along the way. Yeah, but as you said, the cryptocurrency and so on is here with us. It's a matter of being able to understand, to allow you to manipulate and have it work for you. We have Roger and Sherwin basically sharing here in the chat on purchasing Bitcoin. We have Sherwin speaking about purchases that he would have made. He said he bought shoes today locally using crypto. and
Sherwin?
he can
Sherwin
share
there?
the video. Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Okay, fine.
So we
Margaret,
do
yeah,
have,
okay.
pardon me,
Yeah.
you were saying?
Yeah. I want to get on to the cryptocurrency side of the trading and investing, more the
Okay.
practical side. But if we have enough time, I can finish off any questions that we have there. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
So any final comments, queries, questions? Yeah.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, fine. All right. So I am hoping, Margaret, that you can see a file sharing of a screen. It should be saying CoinMarketCap.
Coin market cap, yes.
Okay, all right. So everybody should be seeing that screen and my face should be in the corner somewhere. So there are 3 sites I want you to consider today in terms of the actual. We want to move into now to the actual physical trading and investing, what that's about, and possibly how you can make some money. But please remember that I'm not providing you with any financial advice. You shouldn't go there and just go and buy cryptocurrency just like that. You really need to get the best advice and knowledge on this area. So CoinMarketCap is one site that I would advise you to write down and make a note of. You can see spelling there, CoinMarketCap, and someone could put that in the chat if you want. And this is probably the leading site for all the cryptocurrencies. So if you go up to the top here, you see that there are today 17,399 cryptocurrencies. Now, a lot of them have excellent market cap, and a lot of them are what we call poop coins, and they will go to zero, just like another 4 billion or 4.5 billion years to come. The sun is going to collapse, and the earth will disappear and life as we know it. Yeah, so a number of these cryptocurrencies are going to come to zero. You know, they're not going to be able to stay the course. They will just fall by the wayside, and they will be trampled over by others. And that is why we have to get into, when we're looking at cryptocurrencies and selecting what cryptocurrency we want, we need to get engaged in a couple of things. One is tokenomics. So with tokenomics, we imagine if you want to invest in a company, let's say you want to invest in Sagicor. You're going to go and get Sagicor annual reports. You're going to go back maybe 5 or 6 years and see how they've done. You're going to go and find out who are the people running Sagicor, what qualifications they have. You know, I mean, what have they been doing? What novelty are they doing now? What sort of money they're making? What's their, you know, dig deeply into the financial side of it. Who are the people working for them? You know, I mean, what are the qualifications? You know, what's the market cap, right? You know, what sort of trading volume and stuff they do. A lot of stuff that you have to dig deep into these things before you invest in cryptocurrencies. You got to do your homework, or you will end up buying a meme coin or some silly coin. It might pump up quite a bit for a little while, and then it will go back to zero, and you'll lose all your money. Very simple. So we have, as I mentioned, these 17,399 cryptocurrencies, and then we have a raft of exchanges that you can trade on, which is 457 exchanges. Yeah, and we know the top 4. I only deal with the top ones. There is Binance, the leading one. Then we have KuCoin. I recommend my friends, especially if you're in the United States. Binance, or no, you can't go on Binance if you're in the US. You have to use Binance USA, but I do not recommend Binance USA. I would recommend KuCoin. All right, like number 2. Number 3 is
say that again.
So it's Binance, BINANCE, which is the leading exchange. It has most volume. It's probably most secure. You know, it has wide range of coins, large number of coins, and it has a large number of services that are offered to you, the individual investor or trader.
That's BINANCE?
Correct. BINANCE. Then we have KuCoin, KuCoin. There is FTX, and I recommend FTX International for those persons who are in Barbados or the wider Caribbean. And then there is Coinbase. And Coinbase is United States headquartered, and they are regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission. And because they're regulated by Securities Exchange Commission, and the SEC can wake up today and decide they want to do some regulatory thing they want to implement that might impact on you, the individual investor. I personally do not recommend that people get involved with US exchanges, but that is just Hallam's personal view. Please do not take anything as financial advice. Please do your research and please form your own opinions. Yeah. So those are the
So
four.
you're saying Binance,
KuCoin, FTX
International.
Yeah, and Coinbase, which is a US headquartered and regulated exchange. Yeah.
So these are exchanges.
These are exchanges. These are places where you will go. You will sign up for free. You become your own trader, your investor. You're responsible for what happens with your funds. If you lose your money, don't have great education, you will lose them. If you make money, you make money. All right. So you don't have to pay a broker like some stock exchange and some trading exchanges. You are your own broker. You're your own boss, and you make money or you lose money depending on your education and your experience. And we're going to get into some of the technical jargon shortly. So going down the line, we have the cryptocurrency. You have the cryptocurrency by name, and the number one cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, when we started this conversation, Bitcoin was at $44,000, right? And Bitcoin within last 36 hours, they moved from $41,000 to $44,000. So if you hold a Bitcoin at $41,000, $41,200, and you fall all the way to $44,000 and you sold, you would have made a profit, right? And I would like somebody in the audience who has the skill to work out some profit margins. Would you be so kind as to work out the percentage difference between $41,000 and $44,000? One, and if you can also work out what that percent of profit translate into real profits if you had invested $1,000 US. All right. So if you can, anyone who likes figures, work out for me what's the percentage profit you would have made if you'd bought Bitcoin at $41,000, or you were holding Bitcoin at $41,000 and you sold your Bitcoin at $44,000. What profit, what percent difference would that have been? And if you had invested $1,000 US at the $41,000, then work back for me the percentage and the $1,000 in terms of your profits that you would have made if you sold it at $44,000. If anybody can do that for me, great, fine. Moving down, we have Ethereum as number 2. Tether is a stable coin, which means that it will all be $1, and usually you trade a stable coin with a cryptocurrency. So you would buy, for example, USDT or some other stable coin. You would put it on an exchange, which I'll show you shortly, and then you would buy your cryptocurrency. And when you're ready, you would sell that cryptocurrency. So that's if you're trading. If you're looking for short-term profits and that sort of thing, you're willing to wait. That is what you would do in terms of trading. Yeah. But then it's investing, and investing is different. Investing is when you're buying a particular cryptocurrency and you're going to hold it now for months or years, because you believe, as you've seen in 2009 to 2019, that 10-year period, that the percentage value or return on investment on Bitcoin rose 145%. Okay. So if you're willing to hold long, and you believe in Bitcoin, you don't think it's going to go back to zero, and you think it's going to go to the moon, just jump in the moon, and you fly up to the moon with your cryptocurrencies, and when it gets up there to $67,000, $69,000, $100,000, $135,000, $200,000, $500,000, whatever it gets to, you don't know. Then you can decide what you want to do, or you could even hold your Bitcoin in perpetuity, because you recognize that there is only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and you want to hold on to your Bitcoin as if it is land, if it is a house, right? If you have an investment in a property, you're going to hold on to it as an asset, yeah? And therefore, you might never ever sell one bit of your Bitcoin. You might be buying other cryptocurrencies. You might buy some Ethereum. You know, Ethereum was under $3,000 a couple of days ago. Now it's just over $3,100. And Tether, I mentioned, Binance Coin is another good coin to look at. Cardano, XRP is in court now with the SEC, so their prices come down. Solana is really a nice coin I like about. I'm not trying to go and buy Solana, but I did make some nice little profits with Solana. Terra Luna has done very, very well. It's still at number 9. Dogecoin is a beam coin, a piece of junk. It doesn't have any particular value, but a lot of people have market cap into it, and price has pumped up quite a bit. You can see it went up 9.4% in the last 24 hours and 18.2% on the last 7 days. Then the other coins, like Polkadot, Avalanche. I wouldn't go through all of them. You have to do your tokenomics. You have to get into, if you're not familiar on-chain analysis, then you need to find the people who are very, 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 very good at it. You know, and I can share some of that information with folks at a later date if you're really interested. And on the CoinMarketCap site, there's some information that you will see. So you've got the price for 24 hour, you've got price for 7 day, you have market cap. A market cap is like the value, the total value of this cryptocurrency. And Bitcoin's total value last year was over $1 trillion. It's now $833 million. We expect that Bitcoin could go to $2 trillion, $2.5 trillion. Who knows, right? Ethereum, again, is a pretty good coin. It has the majority of the a lot of smart contracts, a lot of those projects are on Ethereum, but it has some problems in terms of its gas fees are very, very, very high. BNB coin is backed by Binance, and that's doing pretty well as well. Also, there's other data which is being hidden here. Okay, I can put it across. Okay, good. So there's other data hidden. Apart from market cap, you also have data on volumes. You can see, be able to dig deep into the volume and analyze that. And I want to take you deeper into this coin market cap, and I would suggest that you're really interested in cryptocurrencies and maybe trading and investing. You take a note of this and go and play with it. Go and click your mouse and look and find stuff. All right. So I want to dig deeper now into Bitcoin. All right. So I'm going to go deeper into Bitcoin, and I'm going to come down here to a section that says historical data. All right. Now, part of the information on this site will tell you all about a good piece about what the coin was, value of it, the reason behind it, what's use case and all that sort of stuff. All right. But you have to go and do your further research, as I mentioned, to get even further more information, additional information to decide whether you want to invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever you want to invest in. All right. So we've just gone a bit deeper into the historical data. And this historical data now, you can see to the date of February 6th, you see what price opened at, the highest price, the lowest price, the close, volume, market cap, etc., etc. And then I'm not going to go further into this, but you can now use this data and analyze it, just like a financial analyst. Look at the data, look at what were the prices like when it was last year, and what was the price last year, and look at how has the price changed over the last month, and how have the prices changed over the last 3 months or weeks or years or whatever. All of that financial data is just there waiting for you. And I said you click on historical data, and historical data will open that window, and you will get back to and you'll come back to CoinMarketCap. Yeah. So we're back at CoinMarketCap, and it has all the cryptocurrencies all the way down to 100, and you can pull out the same research you want to do for Avalanche or Shiba Inu or Terra or DAI, well, not DAI, but it's just stable coin. Yeah, DAI, Cosmos, Litecoin, whatever you want to do. you can do it. Go and do your deep dive into the research into this thing. Yeah. So there are some sites now that help us to before trading and investing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, ideally it'd be great if one day the bank say, listen, come, we open our doors, you could bring your money and we will sell you the we give you access to the cryptocurrency wallets and exchanges and that sort of thing. But that ain't happening right, that's not happening right now, and people have to find other means and ways of doing that. Yeah. So you sign up with an exchange, as I mentioned earlier. Let's say you sign up with Binance. It's very simple sign up, doesn't cost you anything. Name, username, and if you want to put in Hallam referral code, you can send you that. And so you get a few cents if you're doing any trading. Username, password, and then at some point in time you might be asked for KYC. So they might ask you for, you know, some personal information, so that they're protected, or in case you become, if you turn out to be a criminal, and in case the law authorities come knocking on their door and say, hi, we're looking for somebody by the name of Dwayne Brathwaite. We believe he's been engaging in money laundering. Can you help us with this character? And then the exchange will say, sure, we're cooperating with you. Here's the guys that, well, first of all, let's give me some information. I mean, we're not just give you information on Margaret just like that. You got to come and show us that this guy really is potentially moving stuff and doing things and you know, engage in all sorts of money laundering or selling drugs or buying weapons for Taliban or somebody, you know. But what we found is that Binance and reputable exchanges that have cooperated with the law authorities, right? You know, so I kind of diverge a little bit, but I really think that the police authorities ought to be given the proper training, education, because they're the ones out there who are going to catch the criminals, right? Not the banks, not the central banks, not the security commissions, and not the FIUs and them sort of things, the police, right? So they need the proper education and to understand how young people, how any criminal can engage in money laundering using cryptocurrencies. But as I said, it's, you know, globally it's between 1% and 3%. It's not the biggest issue. Yeah. So we now have somebody who's bought cryptocurrencies, they put it on they send it via wallet onto an exchange, all right? And now they want to trade and invest. And as I mentioned earlier, investing is more like somebody who's going to hold something on a long term, or as again, somebody who's going to trade. So trader, trading that I recommend is very conservative, right? I trade long, so I'm only interested in buying low and selling high. Buy low, sell high. Other forms of trading involve shorting and leverage, whereby people bet against the market. So they will bet that everybody is going to invest their money for it to go up, but I'm going to bet against the market that it goes down. And I'm going to bet 2x, 5x, 10x, whatever x that it goes down. And if it goes down, I'm going to be making 2x, 3x, 4x, or 5x. But from time to time, if you're on Twitter, you follow what's happening, you find that millions and millions and millions of dollars are lost by people who are engaging in the shorts and the leverage. So anybody who's coming to me for any form of education or training, I'm going to only teach you about swing trading, right? We might do a little bit of you know, a little bit of short trading in between then, but I'm going to deal with swing trading, and I'm going to only trade long. So what we're going to do is that we're going to try and find points at which the price hits the low. We believe it's pretty good to buy at that point. We wait for it to run up, and we're not going to get the top, we're not going to get the bottom, but somewhere in between the bottom and the top, we're going to make money. Yeah. And that calls for a lot of education and a lot of stuff, right? But you can do it. As Sharon said, he bought a pair of shoes with profits from cryptocurrency, you know. So it's not only Sharon, there's a lot of other folk out there who are doing this thing successfully because of a lot of education, because of a lot of experience, because of a lot of time, a lot of patience. And since we are at that point, we talk about on-chain analysis and tokenomics. There are three key points about trading and investing, and specifically about trading. One, we have what I call fundamental analysis. So you've got to be following the news. You've got to be knowing what's happening with the dollar, what's happening with the stock market in the US, because there's a correlation between what's happening in the stock market in the US and what's going to happen with Bitcoin. All right, the correlation between what might happen with the US dollar, the US dollar index. You got to follow these things because there might be a correlation with what's happening to Bitcoin's price, what's going up or going down. All right. Then with the on-chain analysis, now gets a lot deeper, and that's where you would have to probably follow people who are doing this research. They're going to tell you, okay, well, a whale just moved 100 million Bitcoin from their wallet to this exchange. And you're going to try to figure out, why would the whale do that? What are they planning to do that? How is it going to impact on me? Yeah. Regulation in that area is a very, very, very serious area. If the SEC gets up and tells Coinbase tomorrow, you can't offer this service, or we're going to carry you to court. That's going to have a major impact on Coinbase and its customers. Now, with XRP, which is in court, XRP was running out like $1.54 or somewhere out there. And Securities Exchange Commission took them to court because Securities Exchange Commission said, you guys are a security, but you're trading as if you're not a security. So then court fighting for all of this. And what has happened to the XRP price? Let's go down here. XRP was about 154 or thereabouts. XRP is now, where is it, Margaret? Have you got Margaret? XRP is now
there it is.
0.8284. So it's now 82 cents. So from $1.54, thanks to the SEC and all the court cases and everything else, if you were an investor and if you bought XRP at $1.54, well, it's now 82 cents. So what are you going to do? You're going to panic sell when it's coming down and lose all your money? What are you going to do? Or are you going to wait till the court case comes out, the whole XRP wins the court case, and eventually that 82 cents goes back to 154, goes up to $2, and you make a profit. All right? So that will show you how regulation and following regulations can impact on how you invest and how you trade. Yeah? So there is the fundamental analysis, which is really news. You're following what all the news relevant to your investments and your trading. Yeah. The second area is technical analysis, which we're going to touch on. This is where now you use all the indicators, all the tools to figure out what's the bottom, what's the top, when should I buy, when should I sell, right? Those indicators. And then the last one, which is where maybe some psychologists will come out to UV and help us with, is what I call psychological or emotional analysis. A lot of us, you know, you might be trading, you might get these little itchy fingers, and you just get a good trade, and you want to itch your fingers, you want to go and look at another trade, but you don't spend the time to go through all the fundamentals of figuring out, is it the right time to buy? Or you might be coming down, and you might say, well, I got to sell, you panic, you know. So there's an emotional and psychological aspect of it. So there's fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and emotional or psychological analysis. Yeah. So we have also some tools to help us with, and I can only touch on a few this evening, and I'm going to see if I can find. A site. I'm going to minimize this. Minimize that. And I'm going to see if I can come back here. Another site I want you to keep an eye on is a site called TradingView. TradingView. Yeah. And TradingView is a site that has a number of indicators.
They're still on CoinMarketCap.
Right. Yeah, I know they're still there. I'm trying to find out how I can find that site. Somewhere over here. So to make a note of that, TradingView, and TradingView is, let me go back. TradingView is a platform. There's a free section of it, and also a paid section. And TradingView provides you with indicators that you can use to determine, you know, help you with the same technical analysis that you need to use. I'm trying, Margaret, to find. I had these sites up already. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull them up again. So I'm going to have to go to Google, and I have to go to Trading View. Trading View. Trading View. Trading View Ethereum chart. Trading View Bitcoin chart. Let's look at Trading View Bitcoin chart. Trading View Bitcoin chart. Sorry about the delay, but we will get there. So TradingView is a free chart you can go to, and yeah, and you can right? And you can, if you've got your laptop, you can probably also look at it as well. So TradingView, you see all the candles, and the candles here. The green candles are when the price goes up, and sometimes very small green candles is when they go down or go sideways. Red candles are when people are selling.
Hallam,
Yeah.
we are not. I am still seeing the coin market cap. So if you could just stop sharing and start back sharing, maybe.
Stop sharing.
Yeah.
Right. Stop sharing. Come back here. Start sharing. Start sharing. All right, let me know if you are seeing a new screen now. All right.
I am seeing.
You're seeing coin market.
Coin market cap.
All right. There's some.
You don't want to open a new tab, Hallam? TradingView Bitcoin chart. Okay.
You see TradingView Bitcoin chart?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're gonna pull it up eventually. Yeah, still trying to master all this stuff. Let me know. So in the meantime, you have two types of candles. You have the green candles and you have the red candles. The green candles are when people are buying. Red candles are when people are selling. So when people are buying, looking to push, expect to push the price up because they expect to go high. Are you seeing a chart now, Margaret?
Yes, I am.
Great. Okay. So you see that we have a chart here with, and it's going up, right? So you see the Bitcoin is still going up, and this is on the 4-hour. Yeah. So the red candles are when people are selling, green candles are when people are buying. All right. And there are times when you see it could be going straight across. So nothing much is happening in the market. Yeah. And so, for example, like from this point here, this red candle here, all the way over here, we had days and a few weeks, couple of weeks of the price doing nothing. You just go up a little bit, come down, go up a little bit, come down, come down. Okay. And before that, the price had actually come all the way down. So we saw that Bitcoin was at, let's say $45,000, came all the way down to $41,000, and then it actually went under $40,000, all right? And, you know, people were figuring, well, is it going to go to $20,000? Is it going to go to $25,000? But it stayed there for a very, very long time. And the smart person might have said, listen, I think it might just have hit the bottom. Let me buy Bitcoin under $40,000. If you bought Bitcoin under $40,000, then look what had happened. It's up, went all the way up, yeah, came across, went all the way up, all the way up. And it, as I mentioned to you, it was stagnant at about $41,000 for quite a couple of weeks, and then went to $44,000 today. So you could decide what you want to do. You want to sell it at $44,000, or you want to stay in, even if it comes back down, because you're playing this a long game now, and you're really looking for the Bitcoin price to go back up to the all-time high of between $67,000 and $69,000. In April last year, it had an all-time high of $64,500, but since then it went to $67,000, $69,000, depending on the exchange you're on. Exchange prices will vary, and then it came all the way back down, all the way back down, all the way back down. All right. So perhaps my friend Sherwin might have done something like this. I bought Ethereum when it was $1,800, but when it's $31.50. I bought it when it was $34.50. Yeah. And it just stayed there and kept going sideways and coming down and that sort of thing. And I just sat down there patiently, like Sherwin, saying, you know, one day you're going to go back up, you know, not you could trick me, right? And one night, Margaret called me. And Margaret told me, hi, Hallam, do you know that the Ethereum price is going up? I said, yes. He said, yeah, it's heading up towards $45,000. So Ethereum went up to $45,000. And I did my little analysis of what it's you see that Ethereum price Hallam, that can come back down, you know. But mark my words, that $4,500, that Ethereum not gonna come back down. So what did I do? I sold 50% of my Ethereum, that batch that I had. And then we kept following it, and it went up to 48, you know, and I said, well, I can sell the other 4,800, but the other 50%, because I believe this price is gonna come back down. What happened? Maybe I was lucky. Maybe 4 years and 4 months of standing stuff, thing day and night might have paid off. Maybe you're getting a little experience. What happened? The price came all the way back down, not just to 4,000, but it went under 4,000, and now it is at what, $3,100, Margaret, as you saw on CoinMarketCap, $3,100. So what are you gonna do? I'm not telling you to go and buy Ethereum now at $3,100. I'm not telling you that, but I would tell you that if it's at $3,100 tomorrow, and I talk to my friend Angela overseas, I can tell Angela, I think you get some Ethereum, okay? But this is not about financial advice. It's about training and education. But the thing about this trading view chart, and also we're going to go briefly to an exchange chart, is that it has a number of indicators. So if you look here, you'll see that there is a line, another line, and a red line in the middle. All right, so you got a blue line, another blue line, and in the middle is a red line. And this indicator is called Bollinger Bands. And Bollinger Bands helps to tell you when it might be a good time to buy and when it might be a good time to sell. But I always say to my students, do not rely or trade on the basis of one single indicator. Use a number of indicators. So another indicator I like to use, very popular, is called the RSI. Watch my cursor, RSI, and that stands for Relative Strength Index. And simply put, what that says generally is that if this index is under 30, it's a good time to buy. And if it hits 70 and heading up to 90, it might just be a good time to sell. All right. So you can combine the Bollinger Bands with the RSI. And the other indicator that I like to use is called the MACD. right? The MACD. And MACD has two lines. And you just have to imagine. I'm not sure I can do it really well right now, but with the MACD, you have two lines, and they cross over. And at different points of the crossover, those lines provide you with a hint that you should buy or that you should sell. All right, I'm just going to leave it at that. So you've got to use the indicators. There are lots of other indicators that other people will use. But these, and the other one, of course, is volume. If you look here, Margaret, you can see that there are these upward rectangles, you know, these little bar things, and they indicate price. So if you see a large red upward rectangle, it means that the price, a lot of sellers were doing Dixie. They were selling like crazy. Now, if you go over here and you see a long upward green candle, it means that the buyers, the buyers were doing this Dixie. They bought, and they pushed the price all the way up here. Yeah. And if you follow this one here, you could see that, yeah, the price did go up. Yes, the price did go up. Yes, the price went up a little bit some more here, but now you've got some red candles and a few people are selling. Well, of course, people will sell at a certain point because the whole idea is to buy low, sell high, make some profits, right? So that Sherwin can buy his next pair of shoes, all right? Or Hallam can buy the next laptop, all right? So you need to use a combination of indicators, and I'm not telling you to only use these, not to use others. You got to get educated in them. But the ones I like are Bollinger Bands. I like the volume. Volume is very important. I like the MACD with the two lines that indicate, you know, when things are going to head south and when things are going to go up. And I like the relative strength index, and I like those two numbers, those two basic numbers of 30 and 70. Below 30, good time to buy. Possibly above 70, 80, 90 up in there, maybe it's a good time to sell. Okay? Yeah. So these are some of the indicators that we use, and I'm now going to go to see if I can get you to pull up an exchange. And I want to go to Binance. I'm going to go to Binance, right? And you can have accounts on multiple accounts. You could have a Binance account or two Binance accounts. You could have two KuCoin accounts. You know, you could have FX the account. You could spread around if you want to. Now, let us see if, let's see. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time. Sorry about that. This is a platform. So you will have, as a trader, you will have a wallet on this exchange. Yeah, and this is Binance Exchange. It's going to take a good old time. Now here in the corner, left-hand corner, you have the pairing of coins that you could be trading. You could be trading BNB, which is Binance coin, right? Or you could be, and you could have USDT as the stable coin. So you would have probably bought USDT, and then you would have used that USDT to buy Binance coin or buy Bitcoin or buy Ethereum, whatever coin you want to buy. And while we're here, I'm going to introduce you to something very quickly. What I have open here is what we call a bot. It's a trading bot. So with a trading bot, which uses artificial intelligence and all sort of you know, great tools like that, a bot can obviously scan hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of coins far quicker than you could. You would never be able to scan as quickly as possible. And then you could program that bot to basically trade for you. Now, I am not recommending this. I'm now going through a trial myself. It's kind of looking promising, but I am not your father. I am not your advisor. Please do not go and start trading with bots, because Hallam said he's doing a trial with bots. But so far, I have made a few dollars, not a lot. I only trial with a few dollars, right? You take chance with a few dollars, right? So here we have this trading bot, and it's automatically doing buy orders and it's automatically doing sell orders. Okay, buy and sell. And it's going to close orders, it's going to start open orders, and basically it's going to do everything that you, the individual, would do if you were doing it manually. Yeah. So here we come now, and when you're trading and investing on an exchange, I am recommending that you do spot trading. I'm suggesting you do not get into the leverage and shorts and all that sort of thing. Do spot trading. Or the two tools that you have with spot trading. So in this box here, you can see buy BNB. So it can be buy BNB, buy Ethereum, buy Bitcoin, buy Margaret coin, buy any coin, once it's on this exchange, and you can buy this coin. And when you've bought the coin and you think you're at a point where you've done all your analysis and you figure that Margaret coin has gone up really high and it's going to start coming down, then you will go over here and you will sell Margaret coin and you will make hopefully a profit. All right. So there are two ways of using these platforms in terms of buying and selling. All right. Now you've got a pairing of BNB and USDT, right? So what this is saying to Margaret that she has available 48.95187195 USDT. So she can take that USDT and at the current price of $432.05 for BNB, she can take that and buy whatever amount of BNB she can get for that. So she does not have to buy a single BNB coin because she does not have $432.05. She has $89.95. So she can buy a portion of BNB, a portion of Bitcoin, a portion of Ethereum, a portion of Margaret coin. All right. So she takes that, and then she comes across here, and she's going to drag this across here, and she's going to say, well, I want to buy all my $89.95 in Margaret coin. I want to buy 25 or half of it, whatever percent you want to do. Now you've got two tools up here. One is saying limit order, and the other is saying market order. Limit order is when you decide, you see the price coming down, and you say, okay, it's $432.07 now, but I think it's going to go to $400. I think it's going to keep on coming down. So I'm going to place a limit order, and I'm going to take whatever percentage, 50%, 25%, 100% of Margaret coin, and I am going to put a limit order to buy Margaret coin when it hits $400. Now, hopefully it will hit $400, but it might not hit $400. If it does hit $400, you're going to get it a whole lot cheaper than if you bought it at $432.60, which is currently the price. All right. So that's a limit buy order. Likewise, having bought Margaret coin now with your $89.95 or your $1,000 or $300, 300 USDT or whatever it is, going to sell Margaret coin. So you can use limit coin as limit order again because you're busy. You're like my friend Dwayne. He has to go work. He has to work for whatever institution he's working for. Jerry George is in St. Lucia, I think he is working for Digicel. He got to work. So how can you trade and still be working? Well, the limit order comes in because you bought with a limit order X amount of BNB at hopefully a lower price of $400. I know you want to sell it. So you're going to say, well, where do I think I want to sell my Margaret coin at? Okay, well, maybe it might go up to $450. I know you're not guessing because you're going to do your analysis. You're going to do a lot of analysis to arrive at those conclusions. So you place a limit order on to sell your Margaret coin at $450. And while you're doing your work with Jerry George doing the work or whatever, doing the work, Margaret doing the work, I think, price flies up to $450 and boom, the price is executed. You sell your Margaret coin at $450, which or $500 or whatever price you figure and go to, which you bought at $400. You've made a profit, and when you come back home, you'll see, or you could go and check online, and you see, man, I made my $89.95 is no longer $89.95. It's now $89.95 plus the percentage that I asked the young lady or individual to go and work out for me earlier. But you would have made that percentage profit, and your $88.95 would now be 100 and something or whatever percentage and whatever the profit is. All right, so that's how you make. That's a simple way that I recommend to beginners. Understand support and resistance, and understand when the price is going to hit somewhere near the bottom, that it's going to stabilize, and from there it's going to go back up. So it's going to hit support. It has a lot of support with a lot of buyers. Hit support, goes up, and it's going to hit resistance. A lot of person up there, and it's going to come back down. But somewhere between the buying and the support and the resistance and the selling, you're going to make your profits. And that is theoretically how it is. And it's really all about taking your time and learning this stuff slowly and slowly and slowly until you get it. And I do believe it is possible if you invest your time. It's possible using my model of swing trading to earn a profit on every investment, every trade, and not lose one red cent. No, I am not saying that will happen. I mean, I remember one night I made a little error, and I sold something, and I didn't mean to sell it at price, and I lost a few cents or $2 or something like that there. So you can make mistakes. You never trade when you're tired or sleepy. But just like Sherwin, you can make some money with the education, with the experience, in time, and buy that pair of shoes that Sherwin bought, or the laptop that Hallam got from HP. Yeah. So the other way of buying and selling, we dealt with limit orders. Now we're going to deal with market orders. A market order is essentially an instantaneous execution of a buy or a sell order. So Dwayne or Sherwin wakes up at 2 o'clock in the morning and goes and says, hey, man, Bitcoin pumping up. I bought some Bitcoin at $41,000, sorry. And it's now at $45,000. And now it's 2 o'clock in the morning and everybody's sleeping, but I'm making money because I'm going to be selling some of my Bitcoin for a profit. So what does Sherwin do? Sherwin sees that when the price hits $45,000 for Bitcoin, or maybe $500 for BNB, Sherwin decides I'm going to sell 50%, 75%, 25%, 100% of my investment in BNB or Bitcoin, and I'm going to hit a market order. And the market order allows him to get the best possible price at the time that he hits that market, that he hits but he's going to be selling now. At the time that he hits the sell and he's identified market, he's clicked on market, right? He's not doing limit anymore, right? He's now gone to market, right? And he's hitting his sell, right? And he has executed the trade, made his profits, he repatriates the profits. He finds somebody in Barbados who wants to buy USDT or the amount of USDT profit that he would have made. He finds Roger, and Roger says, yeah, man, I always want to get into this trading and investing thing, man. Send me your USDT. And Sherwin might say, okay, I'm going to sell it for you. But, the little transaction fees are selling, so it can cost you a little 5%, right? So you already made a little profit. You already squeezed off already his profit from $400 to $500 for BNB. Then he gets a little 5% on top of that. And of course, you would have to deduct the transaction fee of getting the USDT funds from the exchange he's on, where he made a profit, to Roger's wallet. And Roger drives over and says, hi, Sherwin, here's my 400 Barbados dollars or whatever. Sherwin says, okay, I'm sending this USDT to you right now, back to your exchange, to your wallet on your exchange, so that Roger can start and do the trading, maybe just like Sherwin. And Sherwin then has the 400 Barbados dollars, and he goes and buys another pair of shoes, because he doesn't only want a pair of brown shoes, you want a pair of black shoes and brown shoes. Okay, you want to look rare smart, right, Sherwin? Good. So that essentially is how we use the market order. You use the market order to buy, and you use the market order to sell, and you execute those orders instantaneously to get the best prices. Whereas with the limit buy and limit sell, you determine and you figure out where you think the price might go to, and you put an order, you go work, and then you buy it, and then you might put another limit order somewhere, or you could buy at a limit order, and then when you get home, you see it pumping up. You might sell using market, or you might just put another limit order and figure where you want to sell it. So you don't necessarily have to be in front of a computer screen day in, day out trading. You can use, as I said, you can use swing trading. You can do a little bit of scalping, like for example, if you bought something today and tomorrow, or tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, you find that you made some profits, it pumped up, and you could sell it. Bitcoin pumped up from, I asked somebody to tell me the percentage between 41,000 and 45,000. I'm sure you asked somebody to work out that percentage for me. All right, anyhow, so, I mean, if it goes up 41,000 to 45,000, you figure you want to sell it, fine. If you want to hold on to it, because you want it to go to $100,000 and $200,000, up to you, if you are accumulating Bitcoin as an asset, just like you're accumulating something as an asset that in time you believe will go up exponentially, and you can either keep it or you can maybe take off some one day and help pay somebody's school fees or something. So entirely up to you. So you can trade and invest. And the wonderful thing about cryptocurrencies is that one minute you could be trading, and next you could be investing, next you could be investing, next you could be trading. You can kind of like switch in between. It depends on what's your strategy and plan. And before you get into any form of trading or investing, you need to have a plan, right? You need to know, these are my targets, this is what I want to achieve, this is what I'm going to put in, this is my disposable income. I'm going to do some dollar cost averaging every month. Every month I'm going to put in another 250 USD dollars. Every month I'm going to put it, next month I'm going to put in maybe 300 US dollars or whatever. I am not using money that I need to pay laundry bills, to market, buy food at supermarket, put gas in the car. Not using it for that. It's entirely for disposable income that I have that I know I'm going to sit on the bank for an entire year and lose value. So rather than that, I'm going to take some of those funds and I'm going to make profits on top of the funds I am investing, because the cost of living is going up. And ideally, what I say to my students is that if at the end of the year, you've come to me and tell me, hi, Hallam, okay, I made 10% profit. I said, very good, fantastic, because you've beaten inflation. But then I would say to you, I still am quite happy, if you can make a bit more money than that. But we have bull markets and bear markets, and their tricks and traps, and all that sort of stuff. So we have a lot of volatility. Volatility is good, volatility is bad. You have to manage volatility. You make money with volatility. You don't make money with dead and flat exchanges and prices that are going nowhere. So I'm not going to get into scams today. There are a lot of scams. I'm not going to get into cybercrime. Blockchain and cryptocurrency are not a panacea, right? Not a solution to Jesus didn't send this as a solution to mankind, but it is an alternative to possibly getting education and investing the time to see how you can start generating wealth. Questions?
So I'm looking at the time, it's winding down.
All right.
We've actually passed our time. It's 8:43, coming up to 8:45. But I see a question here.
Can we go to 9 o'clock, Margaret? Are there any questions?
We have 15 persons in the room at this point in time.
All right.
We don't want persons dropping to sleep on us.
Okay. All right.
Or just start stepping out.
Right. Okay.
But we have a quick question here. Roger's asking if cryptocurrency, if there is a gold or silver equivalent to crypto.
A gold or silver equivalent to cryptocurrency?
Mm-hmm.
Don't quite follow the question. Right, so when we went to CoinMarketCap, we listed to you all of the cryptocurrencies that are there, all right? So you can have forks. So for example, you can have forks of Bitcoin. Somebody might take the Bitcoin code, which is open source, and they might create another coin. it's very possible that Roger could create a Margaret coin, right? Or a Roger coin, right? But then the question is, what value does that coin have? Yeah. So you have all these cryptocurrencies, and you choose which ones you like. You research them and figure out how you want to deal with it. You want to trade some of them. You want to invest in some of them, long term, short term. Some of them meme coins. You think they can make a lot of profit for you in a quick, short space of time, but then you can sell them and you can move away from them and get into something more serious. That's where you have the plan. That's where you have the strategy. But so there isn't really a gold, a silver, and a bronze, Roger.
Okay, so I think that you were asking to go to 9 o'clock.
If people want me to, I can. If there's some person who want to come online and ask questions, they can. You don't have to put it in the chat. You can just come on board and ask a question. You know, you can do that. We can talk together if you want to do that.
Hello. Hi, Hallam.
Hi.
Right, Roger here.
Hi.
I can try to clear the question. You know how in the traditional market you could invest in gold and invest in silver?
Yeah.
In the stock market?
Yeah.
Right. So I just wonder if there was something equivalent.
Right.
A stable coin that would be linked to gold or silver.
Right. So the same way that you would choose to invest in gold or silver or platinum or copper, depending on your market analysis, you could choose to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Matic. So I started a small portfolio for a friend of mine in the US. I suggested that she get, she put in $1,000 US. I suggest that she get a piece of Bitcoin, a piece of Ethereum, and something called Matic. In other words, she got she has Bitcoin, which is regarded as an asset that she could hold, and she could invest more in Bitcoin for a long-term basis. She has some Ethereum that could be long-term and short-term. And she has Matic, which potentially I think could also both be long-term, medium-term, and short-term. But so there isn't, so gold is separate. I mean, people buy gold, people buy silver separately, you know, but there isn't a gold coin and a silver coin, etc. cryptocurrency. They're all individual coins, individual use cases, and you buy them based on your research and your knowledge and what's your plan to invest or trade. Yeah. Has that helped, Roger?
Has that helped?
Yes.
All right. And you know, you can always follow up with me. My information is going to be in the chat. You can always WhatsApp me and say, well, I want to learn a little bit more, understand a little bit more about that. And I will look at giving you maybe a free half or whatever, and you know, see where that goes. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
One more question. Bitcoin.bb. I think that's what is the company is named.
Yeah, Bitcoin.bb.
Right. I never used it. But from their side, I understand you could buy and sell Bitcoin locally from them.
Right. Correct. Hastings, and there's certain hours times that they have, and they will require that you have some information because of course they're regulated, so they have to make sure that you're not a fraudulent person. But they do have the times, and you can go to Hastings with the information or whatever, or you can go to the website and interrogate the website to get the information, and then you could register with them, and they will probably send you an email saying we're going to be open from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock on such and such a day, and you could jump in your car and go there. And you could, if you got Bitcoin, you could go and sell your Bitcoin. Sell your Bitcoin.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Cool. Good. So you're very interested, Roger. Very good. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? More questions, Margaret?
There don't seem to be no questions.
No, okay.
I'm not seeing any other questions coming at this time. Suffice it to say that we have been given the tips on sites, and you would have spoken to us here about the limits and so on at this site here. I am not seeing any other what happens when one of the cryptocurrencies is taken off the exchange. Okay, so Roger has a question here. He wants to know what happens when one of the cryptocurrencies is taken off the exchange. This
Right,
is interesting.
yeah, quite interesting question. Yeah, so from time to time, an exchange might take a crypto coin off the exchange. And the reason for that is that they might have done some work, research or whatever, and they might have come to the conclusion that this coin really is not ideal. It doesn't really have much value anymore for the traders and investors on that exchange. So it's a way of kind of like protecting the investor, the trader, from buying more or selling more. In other words, the coin has reached a point that they don't think it justifies being kept on the exchange. They don't see the value of it. All right. And an exchange would do that before they list the coin. So they're not going to just put a coin on their exchange without doing the research to which you need to do before you also buy into the exchange to determine if this is a good exchange to put to have there, so that Roger can go and buy and sell. Yeah. So what will happen? Question, Roger, is that let's say you bought Hallam coin and you are holding 500 Hallam coins, and Binance comes to the conclusion that Hallam coin is, it's really a piece of junk now. We're going to halt trading on that. What Binance will do, Roger, is that they will give you time, leeway, to sell your Hallam coin so that you can get back. You could recover some return. It might be a lost return. It might be you'll make some profits or break even or whatever. But they're not. The coins are still going to be yours. You will still own them, and they will allow you to trade them and transfer into another either stablecoin like USDT Tether or another cryptocurrency, and you will still have some value of that coin that they are taking off the exchange. Hope that's clear. Right.
So I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
For the evening. Now, I want to thank Hallam Hope for this very informative piece of information that he has shared with us this evening. We want to continue with these sessions, God's willing. And we also, in continuing with these sessions, we want to acknowledge the time and effort that Hallam is taking to share with us, because, as I said, we hear about crypto. I'm sure that some of you here, well, I know that some of you here are trading. However, we still want to acknowledge and appreciate the time that Hallam has taken out. And so we have just dropped the BIPA banking information here for you. If persons would care to make a donation to Hallam, you are free to take the bank account information, which will pass through BIPA's bank account and forwarded to Hallam Hope. During February, as I said earlier, BIPA proposes to have successive sharing via Hallam on cryptocurrencies on Mondays. And on Mondays in this time slot, we say 6:15 to allow persons to get into the room, but we are working to commence at 6:30 in the evening. And feel free to share the link, because we're going to be using this link for the successive sessions. On February the 28th, we propose to be sharing. We will issue those participants who would have continued through for the, it would be, today's the 7th, then the 14th, the 21st, and on the 28th, we will be issuing persons with certificates of participation. So you can appreciate that this is Hallam's time that he is taking, and he's sharing his research and the hours that he would have taken to arrive at the point that he has arrived at today. So as BIPA continues its exercise in sensitizing and educating persons on ICT, information communication technology related matters, at this point in time, we are working to share with you on cryptocurrencies. So feel free to join us next Monday. We're going to be on the same channel, and we are proposing that persons be in the room 6:15 for 6:30. There being no further questions at this time, I want to bid you all a pleasant night, and I hope that the exchanges that we would have had this evening, what Hallam would have shared, and the many questions that came from yourselves, that they would have been useful to you. And we look forward to having you in the audience next week, Monday. Feel free to share the link with your colleagues, your friends, so that it would be a more fruitful exchange. I bid you good night, and thank you once again, Hallam, for sharing so liberally.
Thank you, Margaret. Pleasure.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.